Hi everyone, and today we have a lovely artist, beautiful woman, Kelly Harwood. And I met Kelly at an exhibition because obviously I've been doing some exhibitions lately and running around talking to all the artists. And I had a long chat with Kelly, and it's really interesting because her work really captured me. And it was in when we met Kelly, it was in the church at Rootham in Kent, wasn't it? And
Yes, yeah.
such a beautiful church, but a very, very exciting exhibition. I was very
Yes.
surprised at how prolific everyone was and how varied the
Mm,
art was. And I
mm.
particularly liked your style. So I've invited you along today. So I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy meeting Kelly. Right. Would you like to tell us what kind of style of art do you do in the first place? How do you describe your work?
I'm predominantly a charcoal fine artist, so I like using charcoal because it is good for me to be able to move it around really easily, and because I have zero patience, I like to be able to just do things very quickly, and I am working on my patience, but yeah, the charcoal I feel is really free, and it brings across that. It just, I feel like when I'm working, the feeling of what's going on in here gets onto the paper quickly.
Hmm.
That's
Do
what,
you like being messy when you're creating? I've always found it
yeah,
messy.
yeah. No, I don't worry about that kind of thing. And I often end up with black smudges all over my face, and people are like, you've got something, like, oh, okay. So yeah, my hands get black, and
Yeah.
but yeah, so I just feel like what I like to be able to feel very close to the material that I'm using as well. And I
Mm.
think if you're too kind of like you're not, that's going to stop the creative process in a way.
Yeah, interesting because I like the smudging. I love to smudge
Mm,
and to work
mm.
the charcoal in. But do you use pencils, charcoal pencils, or the actual burnt charcoal?
Sometimes, yeah, the actual I can actually show you. I've got some
Hmm.
stuff I brought home yesterday that I was using. I've got, now I'm going to get covered in charcoal again, don't I? But never mind. I actually use this, which is a massive chunky block,
Mm.
and that is really, really messy. See, use that. I use this, which is called pan pastel,
Oh yes, yes.
which is like a compressed black, really, really deep black, and then with it, I use one of these sticks, and you basically just rub it in there and do it on the paper. So
Yeah.
that's quite permanent though, so it's difficult to move that around as much as that's the charcoal, and then thin, just willow charcoal, compressed charcoal.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I tend to. That's my materials as such,
Yeah.
basic, but you know.
How did you choose charcoal? I remember when I was at school, well, I think my father introduced me to charcoal very early on. I think it was the first,
Mm,
but then at school, not many people liked it, and I liked it. I used it a
no,
lot when I was younger. I moved away from it, but
yeah,
I think because I was too messy, I would ruin my work by leaving palm hints everywhere and then smudging
yes,
something. I didn't want to. There's a lot of skill involved,
yeah.
isn't there? It's different skill.
Um, I don't think I remembered using it very much at school, actually,
Mm.
thinking back. I think my first real exposure was when I did life drawing at university, but I did a design degree, but they liked us to do life drawing to
Mm-hmm.
keep us a bit looser. I think that's when I first used it, and then carried on using it in my own sort of private work while I was working and things like that. So yeah, I think that was when.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, it's very difficult to. It's actually a really hard material to control. You have
Yeah.
to know how to use it, and you also have to know what to leave out as well as what to put in. It's a
Mm.
bit like watercolor.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a myth because everybody thinks watercolors are easy, and they are not at
Oh
all.
no,
I find them the most difficult thing to use on the
me too.
planet.
Yeah,
Um,
totally agree with
so
you.
I guess charcoal, like you say, you can smudge it everywhere and get really messy with it. But then again, actually, I think I take that out of my work because I put it in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So it's part
Yeah.
of the piece.
So
The
there's a
mess
lot of
is the
planning.
piece.
There's a lot of planning involved then in
Well, I'd
because
say that, but no, I don't think there is.
I was going to say, because I talk to a lot of abstract artists who have an idea and they see it through in their mind, or they just work it and it develops. And I'm thinking, if
Yeah,
you're like a watercolor artist, you have to work from the back to the front.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
I
So
think
what made you become an artist? That word artist. What happened? What's your journey?
I think I was always really creative as a child. Everything my mum had pieces of paper to write shopping lists on, and I would constantly draw on them. So she wouldn't have a free piece of paper to ever write anything on because there's always doodles on it that I would do. And my father was always really into art, so our whole house was full of it. It was just all the kind of stuff that was very popular back then, like Dali prints and Monet and some Paul Klee. So he quite liked sort of the modernist stuff. So that was always hanging around the house, and we spent a lot of time in France and Spain on holidays. And I remember going to a lot of like art galleries because my dad was into it, and we just had a really nice connection with it. And I think he really opened my eyes to the world of art, and it just kind of went from there. And loved it at school. I think you have to have kind of like a natural want to do it and a natural not I don't want to say natural ability, but just something that makes you feel like you can do it. And then I went on to do art A level and art history A level. So
Uh-huh.
that was just heaven for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you go to college
And
after
then on
that?
to yeah, then I went to Brighton Foundation Art College. I was born and raised down there, so I spent all my childhood days going around Brighton, and then I met my husband in Brighton, and it's still a real draw for me. I still love going down there, and I still feel very comfortable down there, and yeah, it's just nice. And there's a really big art scene obviously down there,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
always good to go and see. But then I think I did art foundation, but then I kind of got my parents were saying to me, you know, you'll never make it as a fine artist. It's not a job. It's not something that you can pursue. And back then, I guess that
Yeah.
was the kind of way that people thought about
I
it.
think they still
And
do.
yeah, and looking back, because I then went to do a furniture and product design degree at university, which
Ooh.
was extremely difficult because I don't have a maths
Uh,
ability at all. And I really struggled with the technical side of things, but nobody really kind of took that into consideration. I literally got in on my creative ability because I got an unconditional offer. But then I struggled massively because I couldn't do the technical side. So it was awful. And I did get a 2-2 in the end, but it just, looking back, I wish I had just followed my heart.
mm, mm,
So yeah, it's always something if anybody ever asks me what my regrets are in life, it's that. That's the one. That's the only one I would say that I've got, is that I just didn't follow my dreams. And that's what I encourage my own children to do now.
yeah.
So whatever you absolutely love doing, just go and find it. Go and do it. So yeah,
Yeah, I do
yeah.
understand that. Yeah. I think life takes over in many ways for many people. But it's
Mm,
always hard to choose the right course on an artistic level because you never know what you're going
yes.
to be exposed to. And I think
Mm.
nothing is ever wasted. So
No,
I
that's
wanted
true.
to do
It's true.
wallpaper design. I wanted to do interior
Oh, okay.
design, and I wanted to do set design
Yeah.
for theatre and films, movie. Didn't do any
Oh,
of
brilliant.
that.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
any of it. But
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting how we envisage our path and how it changes. Hmm. So
Yes,
let's
yeah, because
look at some of your work then. I think you said you might bring something to the interview today. Did you, by any chance?
yeah, I bought my portfolio. See if I can get it to see
Because I fell in love with
on
your
there.
animal pictures in particular, and
Yes.
um,
Um,
There was so much.
So I'll show you this that I bought from the studio yesterday. So these are the birds that I do. They're just small charcoal drawings, which are they're about A5, A5 size, I think. And I like to just make them really simple, basically. I think that's what people like about them, because they're very quick and very simple.
Yeah, you say a lot. There's a lot of movement in your work. I'm not sure that everybody can see it there, but there is a lot of movement, suggestions in your work. It's quite beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. So
beautiful.
I like the charcoal to work with it's really difficult to explain. The charcoal needs to work without me pushing it. It's really hard to explain. I don't know how to explain that really.
Yeah.
That's the one. You can see more of a movement one in there.
Yes. Yes. They're stunning. They're just so captive and very natural. It's almost as if you've just stood there and done it. You know, you've been sitting in a aviary and just sketched all around.
Yeah. I just work from photographs on Pinterest that I find really good. And what I was finding was that I was just drawing these random birds, and when I exhibited, people were like, "Oh, what bird is that?" And I'm like, I don't actually know. And then so then I went home and was like, "Oh yes, I know what that is now, and I'd be able to tell people what they were." But it wasn't really. I'm not really into birds. It's not something I'm passionate about, but I love drawing them because it's just literally I'm just looking at the way they're moving and the feel of them. That's what I'm trying to convey.
And that's where you're clever. Yeah, that's where you're clever, because the tendency when you have a photograph or another image is that the end effect is quite static and quite rigid and formulaic, and yet yours are alive. I really can't stress that enough to people who perhaps can't see the quality of your work. You have to be up close, don't you? But it's absolutely vibrant, these birds. And I fell in love with your elephants.
Oh yes, I've got the elephants. Hold on, let's have a look.
Have you got some? I thought perhaps because I think the drawings were quite big, but they're gorgeous. Oh, just so lovely. But they look like they're walking. You can see the movements in all of your work. And the background is very simple. Is there a reason why you choose a simple black background, rather?
I think because I want people to focus on what's on the page and not be distracted by other things. And I think it just hits a bit more. There's a bit more impact if there's nothing else around it.
Quite agree in your work, definitely.
Yeah, and I think because I guess that doesn't really count for the birds so much, because I've got a lot of stuff going on around, but it's not anything that isn't to do with the bird. It's not a landscape or a tree, or because you would lose the focus on the main subject, I think.
What do people like most about what you do? Do you work for yourself, or do you work towards a sale, towards an audience? Because people must tell you when they come to the exhibitions what they like.
Yeah, a bit of both, really. I think there is a bit of kind of, I did the Rochester Art Fair and the Rutan one, which were both very successful, but it was a bit of a testing area to see what people reacted to, what they liked, what was popular. Now I know that, I can kind of know where to go with it, but at the same time, I still need to do what I feel like doing, like my true work, because if you just work to a market, I don't think that's very authentic, and it will come through in the work if you're just literally doing work for your customers, unless it's a particular commission. But I just think it doesn't. You need to work from the heart, and you need to work for what you want to do, because then people will believe in it more. That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah. And so where are you exhibiting then? Where are you looking towards now?
So I've just applied for the summer exhibition over at in Chatham. So it's part of the Nucleus Arts Cafe
Oh
over
yeah.
there. They've got 2 galleries, the Hallpern Gallery and somewhere else, can't think of the other one. And basically you can put in 3 bits of work. You're guaranteed 1 to go in the exhibition, but we'll see what it comes back with. And then they'll be there until the end of, I think, beginning of September, actually, from July to September.
That's a
So
long
that will be a nice long exhibition. They don't allow, if people want to buy them, they don't allow them to take them off the wall until the end of the exhibition. So that's quite good. So I can just
I
put
like
them in
that.
and kind of forget that they're there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 2 ways of
Yeah.
looking at that. One is that if you see empty spaces, you know the artist is popular. But also
Yeah.
it is nice to keep the exhibition worth looking at.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So, and then in September, I can't think of the actual date. Let me see if I can find the date. I'm exhibiting at the it's, do you know Under the Rainbow events? Have you ever heard of them?
Yes, yes.
So they're running one it's the 7th and 8th of September, and it's the a Under the Rainbow events exhibition Headcorn in Kent. So that's a 2-day festival with lots of different artists, really, really good variety, just a bit like the Rochester one. So that's happening. Then in another one in, I believe it's October, I'll be in Balham in London for 1 day. And then in November, I will be in Croydon.
Oh,
so
yeah. So you're
at
looking
the Sockcrow Art Fair. Yeah, of course. There's so many art fairs everywhere.
There are, and it's so exciting as an opportunity for an artist. So are you happy with the way things are going, or would you like something else to happen for you? What are you expecting or hoping for?
I am very happy with the way things are going. I think I have a clear vision of where I want to be and where I want to end up as, but I realise it's going to be a long journey to get there. So I really want to be drawing and painting people, portraiture, people, any kind of thing. I love doing the animals, but it's a way of getting to another goal. It's all about practicing my practice. And so, because portraiture is just so difficult, and it's capturing the essence of someone is what I want to achieve eventually. But I'm finding at the moment that I've been working in acrylics, but they've been drying so fast because it's so hot. It's very difficult to blend them and everything else. And I've never tried oils. That's another thing I want to do. I want to do a course in oils so that I can at least have the chance to blend on the canvas. It's instantly drying.
Yeah.
So, but I know that requires patience, so that's going to test me.
It's good to always be learning and to have a goal.
Definitely.
Something to aspire to. I think so if you can maintain that drawing essence that you have with the charcoal, you'll get that lightness and bring that through with the oils on. You can combine the 2. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's what I'm hoping. And a sense of movement in my work is definitely a massive theme that will never go away. It will always be there.
It's part of you.
I guess I want people to look at something and go, wow, that's a Kelly Harwood. I want to own that, and I want my style to be noticed and to be remembered. I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, excellent. I love people with a dream, and I like big dreams. It's if you can't dream big, you're only ever going to stay mediocre. So, but I mean, a lot of people are very happy just to be working and doing and keeping everything within their control. There's a lot of risk involved in putting yourself out there and taking chances. And that's
because exhibiting is very much like that. Putting yourself out there is a big risk because you don't know how people are going to react to your work, and yeah, but actually what you find is it's so, so worth it, because you have the best conversations with people and you meet the most amazing array of people. And I wouldn't have met you to do this today if I hadn't have done the arts festival. So
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
about, you have to get out there for opportunities to come to you, but you also have to go and look for opportunities as well. You're always constantly looking all the time for,
Mm.
that's what I tell my children. Don't ever not take an opportunity when it comes your way.
Yeah, I like to get one interview from an exhibition if I can, and you were the only person that I really
Oh,
felt
okay.
that, but and that was timing as well, isn't it? Because you were invigilating with your own work,
Yeah,
etc., for the
yeah.
exhibition, and yeah, a lot of it is luck, isn't it? But it's also having the intention and then attracting the right people to you, and allowing that situation. Because I tried to talk to people, and they closed down. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting. So you were very open to opportunities, and that's the way to go
Mm.
forward. So well done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like that as a person. I'm just completely, what you see is what you get. I just tell everybody everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had a very in-depth talk about your work, and it's obviously easier when the work is in front of us. Um,
Yes.
so what about people who've inspired you then? You said your father was a very good instigator. He exposed you to
Mm.
art and the history of art, which you
Yes.
followed. Is there anybody that you aspire to emulate, or somebody who's inspired your choice in some way?
Um, I think I had a very, very good art teacher when I was at school and I did my GCSEs and my A levels. They were amazing. The art department at my school was fantastic. So that was a massive help. And
Mm,
then um, I think I think social media has been a massive influence in that I can basically look for people that I admire and want to work towards. And I
mm,
could give you a list as long as my arm of artists that I just think, oh my God, I really want to work like that and I want to work like this. And
mm,
so, yeah, I think Instagram's great for that, for looking at finding new inspiration. I'm constantly on Pinterest and Instagram and
mm,
just looking for ways that I don't want to be copying people, but I want to be learning from them and then experimenting in my own way with how I can
mm.
sort of be influenced but not copy. So it's tricky
Yeah,
balance
I
to
don't
get
think
to.
you can copy for long. Even if you do, I mean, when I
No,
was at college, we did go along to the art galleries in London and sit and copy the masters to understand how they work.
yeah,
But that's you can't do
yeah,
it forever because your own personality always comes
no,
through, and your context,
it
your
does.
situation, yeah, motivation.
Yeah, I think it's probably very difficult to constantly copy something exactly because you're not that person that did it in the first place. So it's
Mm.
yeah, your own, like you say, your own way and your own style is going to come through anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
So as you move
yes,
forward then, how could people find you? How can someone contact you if they don't see you at an exhibition? Social media?
yeah, yes. So Instagram is probably the best one. Probably quite different. I mean, it's Harwood 6211 art. So it's kind of, the number was given to me by Instagram, and I couldn't have Harwood art, so I was like, oh, that'll do. So it's just,
Yeah,
yeah, just that, and then it's the same for Facebook, so they can find me on both of those
there's
platforms.
plenty of time. Yeah, that's great.
Mm.
As we come to a close then, what's your ambition worldwide?
My I love traveling the world anyway. My husband and I have done a huge amount of traveling, and our plan, once the kids are away, gone off and doing their own thing, is to basically work abroad and move around a lot because he can work abroad with his job. So I guess I'll have to work out how I'm going to be a traveling artist, but also an exhibiting artist, which would be quite difficult, I think. But yeah, that could be a possibility in the future. That'd be really exciting.
So it's,
Yeah,
yeah. And of
yeah.
course, the internet does throw open a huge amount of possibility for connections and invitations. So,
Yeah, I mean, it does, but I mean, I get probably 4 or 5 messages a week about these NFTs and all of that kind of thing. And would you exhibit digitally in Istanbul? And I'm like, what? They're just trying to hook you in, and then they'll get you into a conversation, and then they try and scam you. It's really sad,
definitely.
really.
Yes, yeah. I was invited to go on a panel twice, 2 years running, to go on a panel. Who am I? Why would you pick me to go on a panel?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And these big galleries asking you if you want to go and exhibit in these far-flung countries. And I'm like, I've got 260 followers on Instagram. Why would you seriously? I'm like such a small, tiny little person. So then
Well, there's a warning, isn't it? There's a warning for anybody in the audience. If you've enjoyed meeting Kelly, then I'm sure you'll take on board some of the ideas about scammers and being very careful with your resources. And excitement and fame can come later when you've built up your practice.
Definitely.
And you
keep
choose
it real, people.
Autonomy. You choose where you want to put yourself, not the other way around.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, it's lovely. On that note of warning, I think it's really lovely to have had this chat with you and to see some of your work. I do love your elephants in particular and your birds. You couldn't have shown me anything more beautiful because they were the two aspects that I liked. And I know that there's more on Instagram. So I do encourage everybody to go and find Kelly Harwood on Instagram. The address was there. I'll put it in the comments, the descriptor, and to watch this space because she has some big ambitions and they're all achievable. And I look forward to you traveling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you go traveling, I'll be saying, can you come on an interview? Can we find out where you are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Kelly, and have a lovely day. It's a lovely sunny day here, 2024, and Kelly's getting ready to exhibit in other places, so I'll let you get on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's lovely talking to you. Bye, everyone.